See? Again.
What are you doing?
I just tried telling you. Arguing with you because you don't tell me what clips to do, and then you tell me I do it wrong.
You do it wrong all the time.
So that's what I'm doing. I'm getting dirty.
That's it?
Well, all right. If you actually want to know, I'm just telling instead of telling me I'm doing my clips wrong. I did the shocks and stuff on the other side, so that's done. Then I'm taking a bunch of fuel lines and stuff out because I'm redoing that, getting it out of the way. Then the motor's coming out, then the transmission's coming out. That's planned today. Well, hopefully more than that.
Yeah.
I'm pretty excited. A little quick update on front CV axles, something I've been a little concerned with on how I get it done quickly and also cost effectively. And Ethan Patterson, who races a pretty gnarly four-wheel drive diesel in No Prep World, they have some mud trucks and stuff too, I'm pretty sure. He suggested Brannick, I think is how you pronounce it, Motorsports up in northern Indiana. So keeping it to the Hoosier State where I live, and spoke to those guys today, and they have a lot of options for me on getting CV axles done. So current plan is to take Mitsubishi axles, front wheel drive axles. They're long enough to cut down, and the diameter is within a couple thousandths of the GM axle. So should be able to respline those for the GM inner CV. And that's phase one. And then they have other options with stronger materials to make their own axle bars after that. So we'll check it with stock stuff, and then later can upgrade to stronger axle material when lengths are confirmed, and I guess see if I break a couple of stock ones too. So that's one piece of the puzzle that is solved, and excited that I can do it locally, have good customer service, all of that stuff, and you know, everything else is just a matter of me making it fit now at this point, I'm pretty sure. So figured out an update. That was one area of concern. And lead time too, which also is a concern of mine. So they're saying 2 weeks. Once they receive them, they should be able to do everything and get it back to me. So not bad. All right, big moment coming up here. Getting ready to unbolt the subframe. So that's LS swap, chrome moly. Did it myself, had no idea what I was doing, and it's getting ready to come out. So the steering rack bolted to there, obviously that's motor, and then control arm. So that's coming out. I bolted up the motor mounts there because I'm gonna attempt to mount this to that. So need to cut and weld some things, but yeah, that's been in there for a couple years now. Big reveal. Boom. Sick. I don't know, maybe it's not as exciting for everybody else, but that's pretty wild. Right now, it's completely against the pan. So that was my plan. And then I'm going to go back with just a flap wheel and just nip the bottom of the pan so that there's a little bit of air gap. But it's tacked up pretty well now. I still got a finish weld on the bottom side. So again, using motor plates front and mid is the plan. And then that way I could use the motor mounts to mount the front diff. And it's pretty low, but it's actually what I was expecting. this is about 6.5 inches below the front of the oil pan. And then these are actually lower. So I might keep them that low to protect the diff a little bit. Yeah. I don't know. I'm just going to keep staring at it for a while, even though there's a lot more work to do. Next, I need to put a bar across the front here, low, so that I can still remove the diff cover. And then steering rack will mount to that. So steering rack, I'm going to try to get it actually up high, but we'll see. Not sure yet. And then everything's empty in here. Trans needs to come out so I can mock up the transfer case on it. I don't know, I'm just pretty excited. That's pretty cool. It's a lot of work to do yet, but that was just more of a moral victory, just so I could get something that looks like what I'm going for. Bolted on the alternator. It is really, there we go, really tight here. So I'm going to end up just trimming this off. It's not needed. So I'll trim that front part off, make a little more space. It actually does fit. Playing with the steering rack, it's going to be tight, but it's going to end up going the output through here and then up to through here to the column or shaft, whatever. So I think it's going to work. It's going to be tight. I may have to cut or move this right here to make a little more room, but I think it's going to fit. So that's the task tomorrow. It's just pretty neat looking though. Pretty wild. And then I may end up running another bar from here over just to kind of strengthen this up. And then I'm going to run from here to the chassis and then mount the back part of the control arm off of this bar here. So a lot of little things going on yet. That'll all mount off this weird looking, it'll end up being a K-member subframe basically when I'm done. So, pretty cool update. Got tires. I don't know if this comes through on video, but they look so good in person. They are steamrollers. Yeah, that is so meaty. That's awesome. It'll be not flush, but not too much poke. They just barely clear the spring, but it does clear. I do have to adjust that side. It touches, so I gotta push the camber out at the knuckle there, and then I can get that one to fit. So yeah, pretty awesome. Bad news, this adapter is not long enough for the transfer case that I have. Needs more adapter, and then it makes it really long. So what I'm gonna end up doing is getting a shorter adapter, getting a dragster shorty glide output shaft, and then basically mount the transfer case right here. And then the bulk of it to be right here. So it shortens it by 10 inches, puts the transfer case at a wider spot in the tunnel and a spot that's higher. So more room, should help about an inch. And I'm still gonna have to big hammer the tunnel and maybe a little trimming to get the drive shaft, the front drive shaft to fit. But that's the plan. More work, more money, but I can sell some of this stuff. And so I think, unfortunately, they have to replace the gear set, not just the output. I got to talk to Jeremiah again, my trans guy at Mitchell Transmissions, who makes sure this thing stays in one piece for me and fixes my mistakes. I will update on that. Hopefully we can get that worked out in the next week. And then in the meantime, I can still do some subframe work for the front diff and suspension and all that kind of stuff. But really want to get the trans and transfer case in where it needs to go before I mount the motor. So that's the order sequence of events. Evening after work, gonna try to get an hour or two in the garage every night, hopefully, and just keep chipping away at this thing. So the task tonight was, the fitment here was just bothering me. It was gonna stick out too far with how I was gonna have to adjust the camber on the control arm, pulling that out, and then it was just the whole thing was gonna stick out. So what I ended up doing is I shortened up the shocks. So I kept the spring actually was hitting at the sidewall of the wheel. It was a 12-inch spring. This is an 8-inch spring. I didn't need the 12. I have 6 inches of travel. That's a 350-pound spring. I'll have approximately 1,000 pounds on each spring up front. So 350 pound, 350 pound per inch, 1,000 pounds, quick math, it's gonna drop 3 inches. I have 6 inches of travel, 8-inch spring, 3-inch drop. Once the weight is on it, it all works good. And then I have height adjustment below, or if it doesn't drop that much and I want to drop it down in the shock travel more and just control it with rebound on a launch, I can just drop the spring perch down a little bit as well. So I have lots of options, and that's freed it up that I could put more camber on the knuckle, and then I need less camber on the shock itself. And so now this at static here, just hanging down, no control on yet. Little bit of positive camber that way. And if I pull it out to even, look at that, still tucks. That I can deal with. That's perfect. That's what I want. I want it to look stock. I'm keeping stock strut towers, all that kind of stuff, mounting points. So that's the goal, and it was really bothering me. So, spent a good hour on it already tonight. Now I need to replicate it to the other side and then move on to other things. So that's the update. I know it's, you guys are probably tired of looking at tires and suspension stuff. I know I am, and I've cut out a lot of it. But to me, it's super important to kind of keep that, stockish look of the car. That's why the interior is the way it is. No doors, but, stock interior. Even spent time originally making the shifter go into the same spot as the stock spot, trimmed out the stock plastic so it all fit in there. So the wheels had to do the same. What's your problem?
I gotta get in with the wheel.
Yeah, I don't have the fancy removable. So this is my expert brake bleeder. There's only 2 pedals.
I know, I saw that. Why are there 3 pedals?
Oh boy, that's on video. We can talk about it. All right. Okay, let's give it a go. All right, go again. Lots of air. I think she's gonna be my new brake bleeding partner from now on. The pedal feels better than it's ever felt in this car. So it was pretty suspect before, considering how fast it went. Now it does have different front brake calipers. So these are non-turbo Mitsubishi 2-piston, And then previously it had Mustang GT 1 piston, but still, it always just felt spongy. And now it's like firm without the brake booster, and then with the vacuum to the brake booster, it still feels nice and firm pedal. So yeah, it feels good. So that's good. I might not need the parachute as often. She did a good job. Like a proud dad moment. This feels like a child being born. uh, my wife is going to not enjoy that one, but it is super cool to build something from scratch that's been in your head for a while. So I have the steering rack on, and I'll show later, but it's up a little bit to help with bump steer. So trying to work that out also. Pretty tight fit in here. And looks like I'm gonna have to cut and move this bar because I don't think I'm gonna be able to keep it this low for the steering. I think it's gonna probably have to come right through here. Hard to say for sure, but I think that's just gonna have to go for now. Move it, brace it somewhere else. I'm gonna end up running an oil cooler again, so there I have a fitting here. Plenty of room to move lines through there. So everything's coming together. I don't have the motor plate mocked up yet. That's next. I have to trim out the plate for the alternator. I think people assume you run like spacing with everything at the front, but there's still plenty of meat. I have to cut it out anyway for the headers. Manifolds flip forward. But man, I don't know. I'm excited. It is coming together. Oh, this bar that I mounted the steering rack to is just that hair lower than the diff. So it'll help protect that a little bit. At least that was the thought process. And I know I don't video these things while I'm doing them. It's just a lot of walking back and forth. And I don't know. You guys tell me, is it worth trying to video me walking around for like 2 hours cutting little pieces and then trimming it down to nothing? Or is it better just to show the end results and then my wife can cut out most of my rambling?